welcome to episode 65 of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not-so-classic genre cinema of yesteryear. This is Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. Welcome to the show, and welcome the band She-Verb. This is the song She Shanty. It's from their album She Rides Again. You can find them at sheverb.bandcamp.com. And as of this recording, they will have just played at the 12th annual Surf by Surf East show with 19 other surf-tastic bands. You know how I know this? I checked them out over on Facebook, where you can find them under She-Verb, the band. Check them out either on Facebook or Bandcamp, however you do it. Let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And this week we were originally going to take a look at the movie The Monster That Challenged the World, and we actually announced that over on our Patreon page, but life gets in the way. We had some medical stuff happen. Everybody's fine, but Beth and I did not get a chance to sit down to watch that movie. So that's happening next week, which means this week I'm dipping into the hopper. I'm dipping into the archives, and courtesy of Mike R., we have recordings still from previous Monster Bash conventions, and I thought, you know what? We have never really heard from Barbara Wilson on this show. Who's Barbara Wilson? Well, she was in a handful of movies that we love here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. I'm talking about The Flesh Eaters. I'm talking about Terror in the Midnight Sun. You might know it as Invasion of the Animal People. Well, she was a guest at a previous Monster Bash, and Ron Adams himself, the Monster Bash Grand Poobah, conducted a Q&A with Barbara, and that's what you're going to hear this week on the show. Looking forward to that. Also, we got Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule review. That was an awkward segue, but trust me, it's a good segment. The Beta Capsule review is where Ultra Mark Matzke, he doesn't call himself that, I just do that from time to time. Anyway, he goes through every single episode of Ultraman, because Ultraman's always going to have a home here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And he's going through each series, each episode, and this week we are still talking about Ultraman Taro. So that's coming up here in a little bit. In fact, why don't we get to that right after this?
Has been around since the late 1800s, and the first multi-reel motion picture debuted in 1906. Since that time, millions of movies have been made, and unfortunately, just as many have been lost. Many of the surviving early films are in what's called the public domain, meaning their copyrights have expired due to time, neglect, and on a rare occasion, error. On Orphaned Entertainment, Christopher and Lydia review and discuss these public domain works to do their small part in bringing awareness to these nearly forgotten films. Join them as they discover the foundations of modern cinema. Visit orphanedentertainment.com to learn more, or find the show wherever you listen to podcasts.
Two tiny punctures of the external jugular vein, right side. Any blood? No, that's the strange part. No evidence of bleeding.
This medallion, composed of horrors unimaginable, taints the secret heart of Sandra Harrison with the blood of Dracula, and possesses the mad mind of Louise Lewis with dreams of limitless powers.
I can release a destructive power in a human being that would make the split atom seem like a blessing.
A woman overfull with fantasies of terror, stimulating young girls beyond any reasonable control, piercing the earth's crust to make black magic with the blood of Dracula. Transforming a young girl's love into terrifying bloodlust.
Symptoms are identical. 2 incisions of the jugular vein.
Well, is the killer human or animal?
A Dracula.
In 1947, the bird expedition to the South Pole reported a warm water oasis deep inside the icy Antarctic. This is the story of another expedition and of what might be found, what might happen today in that remote, unexplored last frontier on Earth. Unchanged since prehistoric times, the land unknown. Could man have survived in the dinosaur age of mighty monsters? Shudder at history's most ferocious killer, Tyrannosaurus Rex. The battle of the great Stegosauri. Huge carnivorous man-eating plants. The incredible water monster, Elasmosaurus.
We'll never get out of here, Alan. Never, never, never.
Stop it, do you hear me? Stop it. This doesn't sound like you. We're not lit yet.
That's how I rule them.
Where's the wreck? Talk.
You're gonna rot here.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Taro, Episode 23, The Gentle Monster Father. Original air date September 7th, 1973. The Shiratori siblings are invited to go on a drive to Hakone with Rokuro, Kenichi's classmate, and his parents. Rokuro expresses his embarrassment over his father, who endures his mother's domineering ways with a patient smile. Moments later, they come upon a group of young people who claim their car was destroyed by a kaiju. Rokuro's mother forbids helping the stranded motorists, but justice is quickly served when their own car is melted by a mirage-like whirlwind. ZAT orders an evacuation, but Rokuro's mother defies them, insisting that the monster somehow belongs to those whose cars were destroyed. Before any debate can ensue, Mirage Monster Lordra rises from the underground, leaving ZAT no choice but to launch a counterattack. The kaiju melts their vehicles and weapons, so when Rokuro's parents get dangerously close to Lordra, Kotaro puts himself in harm's way, armed only with a stick of bamboo. While the parental relationship at the heart of Episode 23 is cringeworthy, bringing even ZAT's members to say they'd rather deal with a monster than Rokuro's mom, this is an oddly satisfying story. That's largely because, up to this point in the world of Ultraman Taro, mothers and motherhood have been virtually deified. Finally, this episode has the courage to say that some mothers are not all sweetness and light, but can be downright mean-spirited, and what young Rokuro perceives as weakness on the part of his father is actually strength under control. It feels like a daring choice, but is realistically sold by the actor who plays Rokuro, who registers profound disappointment with both parents in a way that the viewer can feel. And props to Episode 23 for getting back to the Taro tradition of human characters riding on a giant monster, in this case, Lordra's trumpet-like nose. It's a disarmingly unserious and whimsical image, a reminder that, first and foremost, Ultraman is supposed to be fun. For Bride of Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
Gentlemen, we're in 3000 BC.
To reach this lost civilization, science had followed a trail through burning desert sands, through the roaring avalanches of Mount Kuitara, and finally deep into the bowels of the earth. Not even history had recorded the existence of this unknown empire of darkness.
There is no world beyond ours.
If I ever get out of here, into my world,
The world of light and flowers.
will you come with me?
Never before had outsiders beheld such sights. The sacred ritual of the sun death, the blazing sacrificial chambers, the court of the all-powerful high priest of Ishtar.
You will die in the fire of Ishtar.
The blood-lusting mole people storming from their subterranean caverns.
Inside me! It's eating its way out!
It takes just 10 seconds for the flesh eaters to strip the last bit of flesh from any living thing.
It's eating its way out!
Listen to those screams. They're eating him alive.
These things want flesh, any kind of flesh. And once they sense it, they'll eat their waste for anything that comes between them and their meat.
They stood alone, surrounded by the most abominable threat ever faced by human beings.
Don't touch those things! I need bandages, strips of cloth, anything! Quickly!
One by one, half mad with terror, they turned upon each other.
You'll die first, Butcher! You'll die first!
You killed her!
Animal!
You will lie down in one of the contaminated areas and be our guinea pig.
What was the dread secret of this horror that was born out of science and madness? Was there no way to escape? The flesh eaters.
Well, we're so happy here at Monster Badge to have Barbara Wilson. How does that, Barbara?
I see that dog for quite a while, and it was still a little dark, but
It's the only film I know where there's a bunch of villagers with torches chasing a monster, all on skis.
that's something, isn't it?
Do you have any memory? It was Sweden, right? Is that where you
It was made in Sweden, yes. And for me, that was wonderful because it was my first time to Europe, and I was only about 21, I think. I really enjoyed getting to go there.
Do you remember being cold?
Didn't feel so cold.
Does it
But it was probably in May. It was going to be light 24 hours a day in June. So it was light about 23 hours a day. That's why they call it the midnight sun.
Right. Any memories of that costume, the monster that was in the film?
Well, it was just a big hairy suit. And by the way, that was not me in the shower scene.
Okay. How did you start getting into acting? How did it all begin for you?
First, I was a teenage model, and then there's this contest they have every year in New York called the Miss Rango contest. I don't know whether it's still going or not, but that year was the first year that they were opening it up to California models as well. They were bringing Rango beer to California for the first time, to the West Coast, maybe was the whole West Coast. So I was only 17 at the time. I was still in high school, actually, and I got picked to go back to New York for the finals of it, and I ended up one of the 6 girls that are considered the Rango girls for that year. And then on a flight back to California, an agent saw me on the airplane and suggested that I come in and talk with them. And I did, and they ended up signing me, and that's how I got started. I went to the Pasadena Playhouse school right after high school, but you weren't allowed to work in the business while you were going there, and so I quit because I was already working.
Now we're going to be playing late tonight, Blood of Dracula. You were in that as a student, right?
I was in that. I have a pretty small part in that, I think.
Yeah, and I was watching, and I think your daughter mentioned there were a bunch of brunettes, but you're not the first, I think, brunette you've seen. But as soon as you were on there, I'm like, that's her, that's Barbara. So yeah. Any memories of being on the set for that film?
We had a lot of fun. The other girls and I that were in it.
Do you recall Sandra Harrison? I think she was the lead.
Yes, I do.
Was she nice to work with? You recall any?
Oh, yes, she was. Yes.
Okay, and how about another movie that many of these people I'm sure have seen here is The Flesh Eaters. Now, you weren't even aware, right, that was being shot for The Flesh Eaters.
Well, that's really funny because I started seeing it, and I was in a movie called The Flesh Eaters, and I had never heard of it. I mean, I would know the name of any film that I was in, but I had no knowledge of that. But when I saw it, I remembered shooting that scene, and I knew it was me. And I still don't know if that was a scene shot for something else.
Maybe it was a commercial or something you didn't know, right?
I mean, it was not a commercial, but for something else that somehow became part of the Flesh Eaters, or if it had a different name.
For those that haven't seen The Flesh Eater, she's right at the beginning of the film.
I'm the one that gets eaten first.
Well, you know what? Let's throw it out for any questions right now for Barbara Wilson. Anyone have a question or about any of the movies or anything about her career? Okay, in the back there.
I think we managed to cope with that 33 copies of sunlight. I mean, didn't that throw your rhythm off?
Oh, the sunlight.
No, it was just the sun was shining very late, but we just went to bed at the usual time and started at the usual time in the morning. I was anxious for it to get to be 24 hours a day because I just thought that would be fun to experience that. But actually, I don't think I was still there when it got to 24 hours a day. I had traveled around Europe afterwards, some, which I enjoyed a lot.
Did you do more work in Europe other than Terror in the Midnight Sun?
Not right there, no.
Later?
I was so anxious to go back to Europe after I came back. And my friend Diane Cannon and I were roommates, and she had done a film in Europe not that long before, and she was anxious to go back too. And so we went back, and we were offered some things, but we didn't actually take them.
Okay, how did your life go? You were in a handful of stuff, and did you just stop taking jobs for a time? How about marriage, or where'd you get your first life out?
Yes, I got married, and then I had a child, and then I had another child, 2 daughters. One of your just right over here, right here, helping me a lot. And so things just kind of, also I changed agents, and that was a mistake, and things just kind of dwindled down to a...
So have you always lived in California then, for the most part? Or?
For the most part, I did live in Florida for 18 years until about a year ago. My husband passed away, and then my daughters were in California, and Jenny, my daughter here, said, if you want to see your grandsons grow up, you better move back. Yes. So I did that.
So do you have 2 grandsons?
Yeah, that are almost 17 and 16 now.
Okay, any other questions? In the plaid shirt in the back.
Good evening, on behalf of all, thanks for coming. Approximately how long was the shoot for Then the Midnight Sun on location? And roughly how long were you on location for your seats?
Yeah, how long you were, the shoot for Terror in the Midnight Sun was, you were called that?
I was trying to remember that, and I would say like 4 to 6 weeks on that.
And you were there through the whole
I was there the whole time. Right, after we did all these location shots, most of it was on location, then we went to Stockholm and did some interior shots.
Now, your daughter had brought up, and I'd noticed this, of course, seeing the movie many times over the years, about the difference in size of the monster. Sometimes he looks like he's about 10 feet tall. Sometimes he looks like he's 45 feet tall.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the, the direction for, I'm sure it was like forced perspective mostly, like the way they had the camera and stuff. Did you take note of that, or?
Well, at the time I didn't know that, but I would say the monster was actually about 7 or 8 feet tall. They had a guy who was a very tall guy that was inside the costume.
Did you get to see him out of the costume at all, or?
Oh, he was around. That person was around a lot. He did a lot of other things.
Okay. More questions for Barbara. David?
Is it where your rubbers are working on the man turn this off like you?
Man who turned to stone. The man who turned to stone.
Yes.
Do you recall that you...
Well, that might have been near the beginning of the first things that I did. My manager in the stone. People have asked about my hanging there. I hang myself, and I'm in a harness kind of thing. They call it a harness. And those are actually my legs dangling. And the harness is attached to the ceiling, I think.
What about that top they put you in? What was that? She died. Was one die or something?
The top they put you in, do you recall that?
Oh, not too well.
Okay. Now, when the harness, were you concerned at all? Worried about that? Or did you feel safe the way?
No, I was just curious about how they were going to do it. But as far as the harness goes, it was very safe and comfortable, too.
Okay. More questions for Barbara Wilson right here.
Yes, I'm presuming they used a double for the skiing and the ice skating scene.
They did.
And I was wondering if you actually ski or skate in the movie at all, and are those things that you were able to do before the movie,
well,
or were able to do after the movie?
When I skate around and say, hello, darling, that was to my uncle. It was supposed to be to my uncle. I did that, and I ice skate normally, but I don't know how to do figure skate. And with skiing, before I got the movie, I had skied a few times. But when I knew I was going to do this movie, then I went skiing every weekend to try and improve my skiing skills. But I still had a double foot all that skiing.
Okay, more questions for Barbara Wilson, way in the back.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing you've ever done when it comes to all the entertainment stuff? What was your favorite one?
Your favorite thing of all of the entertainment things you've done in your career?
There was a show called Love That Jill and a segment called Hug That Hillbilly. And I put in the hillbilly, and I think I enjoyed that the most. But there's other things too that I have enjoyed a lot. But maybe if I had to pick one, that would be it.
Fun to be a hillbilly.
Yeah, right.
Okay, any more questions right here on the jacket?
Yeah, any recollections of Virgil Vogel, the director of Terror in the Midnight Sun?
Mm-hmm.
What was he like?
The director.
He seemed very nice. I know he directed a series. I forgot which one it is. One of those Western.
Big Valley.
Big Valley.
Big Valley? Oh, okay.
You stuff your toe in the water, some TV too, right? Like Captain Fathom,
Yeah, I did 2 TV pilots, neither one in the wind. And I did another film called Lost, Lonely, and Vicious. It was actually called Lost and Lonely to start with. It was like a rebel without a cause. And I played the Natalie Wood part in that.
Okay, well, I think we're going to do something special here, aren't we? We have something for you, Barbara, and we thank you so much for being here at Monster Bash. Ursula's coming up here with some flowers for you.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
And we want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. Barbara Wilson at Monster Bash.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Bride of Monster Radio. Thanks for being here with us this week. And I hope you had a good time listening. I also hope that you're going to do your due diligence and let people know about the show by going onto Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Reddit, wherever it is you hang out online. Let people know about what we're doing here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio. Stay tuned, because I think by the end of March, we're going to have the Inner Sanctum set up where you can become part of the Cyberscrete team. And there are going to be points and prizes and rewards and all this other stuff going on. And one of the things that you can do to earn points and get rewards is, well, by sharing posts about the show and spreading the word. Somewhere you can go spread the word as well is the Classic Horror Film Board over at classichorrorfilmboard.com. I don't get too personally involved over there, which is why I need you to go spread the word about Bride of Monster Kid Radio on this message board and any other message board that you happen to hang out on that, where it's relevant. I mean, don't post about the podcast at like a bicycle repair forum or something like that. But, if it's relevant to movies and whatever, you know what I'm getting at. You can send people to our website over at monsterkidradio.net, where you're going to find links to everything that we've talked about here on the show, including links to our social media presences on X and Blue Sky and everything else. Reddit is over there. We've got the Patreon link, which is where you can follow us for free on Patreon. I encourage you to do so, because this is the only place where I announce what's coming up on the next episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio, when I do my show notes social media posting blitz later on in the week. You can follow us on Patreon for free. Become a free member and you'll get the posts. So if you want to be ahead of the game and know what we're going to be talking about on the show before everybody else, you got to join us over on Patreon. Of course, you can help us by becoming a paying patron as well, but just join us over on Patreon for that information. You're also going to find our contact information on our website. Email address is monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Our voicemail line is 360-524-2484. So if you have anything that you'd like to share with the show, if you know of any Monster Kid relevant events, well, we'd love to hear about it so we can help spread the word. So give us a call, drop us a line, and we'll make sure you're included, or your information at least is included in an upcoming episode of the podcast. You're also going to find our Amazon affiliate link. If you're buying anything on Amazon, please consider using this link because it helps us out. There's also going to be a specific link if you wanted to get your hands on the Blu-ray release of The Monster That Challenged the World by Kino Lorber. There's a commentary track on there by Tom Weaver. The guy knows his stuff. I'll make sure there's a link to that as well if you just want to click on that and add that to your physical media collection. Before signing off, I wanted to bring up one more thing. I stumbled across this completely by accident. And I know that the Facebook masters, the algorithm machines, the monsters in the machine are constantly listening. You can talk about, say, like baby carriages for like half a day near your phone, and that evening you're going to start getting slammed with ads for baby carriages on Facebook. It's just kind of how it works, right? I don't know if that's been debunked or not. That's been my experience. Not that I spend a lot of time talking about baby carriages, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I have been lamenting the fact that I cannot find classic horror events down here in the American Southwest. I find the occasional thing. We go to the Loft in Tucson and go watch a Harryhausen film. Sure, that's cool. But there's nothing like the Joyce Cinema. There's nothing like the Academy Theater or anything like that that I have found. And I've been talking about this for at least a year, if not longer. Well, Facebook, are you not listening? Are you not paying attention? How did you not put this in front of me, front and center? In Arizona, there is the Great Arizona Puppet Theater, which I had heard about before. I knew that they do puppet shows 7 days a week, sometimes for kids, sometimes they do some grown-up shows, 18 and over only, that sort of thing. I knew that. I was looking at a Facebook event for like a 24-hour, 48-hour film festival coming up. Not that I'm going to participate in that, but I thought it was cool that there's something like that down here. Especially since one of the 24-hour things was not just to make a film, but to actually do a short play, which is even cooler or harder. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, you scroll down and it's like, you also might be interested in Dr. Zombie's Movie Lab of Terror presents The Ghoul at the Great Arizona Puppet Theater. Okay, one, Facebook, you let me down. You should have let me know about this, years ago, eons ago, at least a couple of weeks ago. And two, any of you here in Arizona know about this and didn't tell me? Come on, man. Seriously though, Dr. Zombie, who identifies himself as the most terrifying horror host on 3rd Avenue, will be hosting a screening of The Ghoul, starring Boris Karloff. He's going to bring his friends Dane the Ghoul Gore with him to do puppet presentations with Zombie Dave. Vampiro Jr. will be there as well. When the movie rolls, he'll be on hand to point out the scary parts of the film. $15 a ticket. Now, Beth and I already have plans for March, Friday the 13th, so we're not going to be able to go. But it turns out they do this every Fearful Friday. April 10th, next month, Attack of the Giant Leeches. May 8th, Freaks. June 12th, Vampire. And July 10th, The Flying Serpent. I will make sure that I at least post the graphic for this in the show notes over at monsterkidradio.net. I've reached out to the civilian identity of Dr. Zombie and became friends with him on Facebook, and I hope to continue chatting with him and learning a little bit more about what he's doing. But are you telling me that Arizona has a horror host? I had no idea. This is incredible. This is such great news. I am stoked and hope to promote this thing, and I hope it goes well. I did some digging, and it looks like Dr. Zombie's been doing stuff for several years here in the Arizona area, the Phoenix Valley, not just with the Great Arizona Puppet Theater. This just may be where he's landed for now. But how cool is this, man? Seriously, if you go, gotta let me know how it is. Call in and let us know how it turned out. And like I said, Beth and I are going to try to go to the April 10th show at the very least to check it out and see what it's like. So cool. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled DETH. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. She Shanty is copyright 2024 She-Verb. You can find it on their album She Rides Again, and you can find the band over at sheverb.bandcamp.com, or you can check them out on Facebook. However you check them out, pick up the album and let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.